everyone, welcome to episode 133 of Formidable Opponents, a show that picks three people who have known each other virtually their entire lives in a series of conversations as we argue what is best in a variety of fun, engaging, and critical pop culture topics we all debate about. I'm Randall, and with me as always, Bob and Joseph, and this week's topic is Best 90s Debut Single. The exhilaration of achieving success on the first attempt is what we're talking about tonight. But before we begin, we acknowledge the ambiguity surrounding what defines a true debut single. Now, many of the artists we'll discuss had spent years tirelessly navigating the industry before their defining moment arrived. Consider this akin to the way the Grammys recognize Best New Artist, often awarding musicians who have spent a decade striving for mainstream recognition. For longtime fans who followed these bands from the very beginning, bear with us. We understand these weren't the first songs they ever played. Instead, we're highlighting the moment they entered the mainstream consciousness, when their success became inextricably linked to a single release that ignited their careers and shaped our collective musical landscape. Think of these singles as career-defining milestones. That's our focus here. A strong debut single is essential for multiple reasons. It creates a powerful first impression. Recognition opens doors to greater opportunities. Early success builds momentum for career achievements. A hit single fosters the growth of a dedicated fan base, and a culturally significant debut can shape an era of music. Remember, this was an era where radio airplay and music videos dictated an artist's fate, when the monoculture propelled musicians into stardom, transforming their lives the moment they broke through. This week, Formidable Opponents debate and discuss Best 90s Debut Single. With me, as always, are two guys whose second best 90s debut single choices were Billy Ray Cyrus's Achy Breaky Heart. Bob and Joseph, how are you guys doing?
I wish y'all could. We need to have like a video version of Randall giving his spiel in the beginning of the episode. Man, he uses arms. I mean, like he's flailing around and pointing at the wall and like pointing at the screen, like if he's talking, like he's a dictator. So it's something that it's a spectacle, folks. One of these days, we're gonna highlight that in one of our Instagram videos or something. We'll do that.
Very Elon Musk, right?
How are y'all doing, Joseph?
You need to enunciate a little more when you say "who have." Or because what does it say? You say
hooves.
Three friends who have virtually known each other, because you're like an O and an S from saying huevos. Today, three friends who have. You said who have, and if you had an OS in there, you would add huevos. Enunciate, sir.
Yeah.
Enunciate.
Add a nosotros in there somewhere too.
You're better than that.
We'll go ESP everybody next week. What's going on, guys?
No, nothing much, man. Had a nice little weekend. It's been good since our last show. I mean, man, it feels so we're back when the week later. It's kind of crazy.
Well, the Super Bowl happened, so we took some time.
The Super Bowl.
But at least we're back today. Even though it's I got a 3-day weekend. I'm still in the middle of that. I got tomorrow off. So
nice, lucky bastard.
Yeah. So you were off last week.
I know. I was off for the Super Bowl, like a great American should. Every American should be off the day after the Super Bowl.
You know, guys, I was watching the SNL 50th anniversary, and we have an anniversary ourselves. Yesterday was 4 years since we debuted.
Holy shit, 4 years.
This is year 5 for us. We're kicking off year 5, and what a topic.
So you're saying this episode has meaning?
It has meaning. It has cultural impact.
Complete coincidence, everybody.
It has huevos. It has everything.
Nosotros huevos.
Huevos. Have you seen that video? We got to send that video to Randy. Huevos. Rancheros. That guy.
Yeah.
Don't send me any videos of huevos, okay? So, anyway.
For the visual, Rand. For the visual. So you can learn to enunciate. Use your lips.
What's going on?
All right, guys. So we have a very important topic this week, a very fun topic to discuss. We're talking about
who's your daddy and what is
this? Be a very important topic. We're fucking with him too much today.
Yeah, poor Ren.
Sorry, Ren.
Oh, wait,
All
we're
right,
like at
let's
minute
get serious.
12. We haven't even talked about the topic.
Minute 12, Randall's already getting pissed off. You see the red in his face rising and rising.
Let's get
Go ahead,
serious,
Giving
everybody.
that
Let's
Donald
go.
Trump introduction. It's a huge topic. Everybody's talking about this topic. Okay. All right, guys. So we're talking about 90s debut singles. So, opening questions, guys. What makes a debut single truly iconic? Is it the commercial success, cultural impact, or pure musical quality? When you're looking at a band that you're about to, really start to follow, that first song, describe it. How should it hit you?
I think what we all agreed on when we talked about this topic is these aren't one-hit wonder people. They're not
Yes.
one-hit wonders who had they're not artists who had great singles and then disappeared. All these people have careers. Commercial success leading to, in my opinion, full and successful career, and musical quality, of course. If it's something that like gets you like, or if it hits you musically in a way like it's something that you haven't heard and it's brand new and you hear it and you're like, wow, this is fucking cool. That's obviously the music is hitting you. So for me, it's those two things. It's the musical quality and of course, well, the commercial success. Did it help them? Was it a successful debut enough where it gave them, just turned them into a huge megastar and they were able to succeed? Bob, you mentioned all three. I mean,
Huevos. Yeah,
Huevos.
no. The only reason why I would mention the cultural impact is because during this era of the '90s, the music video was still pretty. What's the word I want to use? Not iconic, but it was the music video was still very popular,
omnipresent,
and it did very much so push certain artists into superstardom or into that next level of success. So I would say the cultural impact does make it iconic because of the music video and their type of music, their style of clothing, the way they carry themselves, the way they impacted teens and music lovers of all ages during that time. I think that does play a role. Of course, the commercial success, obviously, and then the pure music quality had to be. And I mean, because we've talked about this a little bit, and you mentioned it too, Joe, so that we're not talking about one-hit wonders, but there are so many one-hit wonders that had such amazing music quality, like great songs, great sounds that just didn't turn into anything else, with their albums or their next single or anything like that. So I think all three play a big role.
And that's kind of sad because there was actually a lot of good songs, debut singles from like people that just disappeared.
Yeah,
fuck yeah, dude.
Afterwards.
And they sounded good at the time. There's just no follow up, right? And Bob, you're absolutely right. The ubiquity of music videos, that monoculture, I think it's all the above, right? It's commercial success, it's cultural impact, it's musical quality. But to me, cultural impact stands the test of time. I think that's the most important element. Commercial success, sure, there's residue that carries over, but a hit is never as big as it was when it was a new hit, right? So musical quality, well, some of these songs, they couldn't be released today because they sound too much of the decade specific, because they sound so archaic, but the sentimentality most of the time outweighs the current enjoyment. But to me, I think if you get a song, and I think all the songs we chose today still carry over the cultural zeitgeist from the 90s, 30 years today. You could release all three of these songs that we're going to mention today and they would still be big hits. So I think that cultural impact that launched these artists into the stratosphere is the most important and essential thing to having that truly iconic debut single. How did radio, MTV, and early internet culture shape the impact of 90s debut singles? How did they really, we talked about how they defined them a bit, but what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it has to, I mean, the music video was everything at that point in time. And then like the transfer of identity, I don't know if that's the right phrase, but from the 80s to the 90s, the identity, the culture, the style, the type of music, the type of alternative lifestyle and changes to people's, as far as clothing, food, the way pop culture, everything about it from the 80s to the 90s, there was this huge shift, and a great way for these young, impressionable adults and teens to get a fucking clue of what is going on in the world, especially in music and pop culture, was music videos, man. I mean, the radio as well. I mean, of course, like just like in any decade, the hits were going to be played, and these new singles that record labels really wanted to push as hits were going to be played, ad nauseum on the radio. But the music video, I really do think, in MTV, again, played a huge role in this. I know the internet really became popular like 98, 99. Everybody started getting AOL, and Joseph was downloading 1,000 songs off of LimeWire and shit like that. But I think that's more closer to the 2000s, right? But MTV, man, music videos, I think that really shaped a lot of the culture of the 90s, and it was like, it can't be said enough how important that was, or how important MTV was.
Joseph, and don't mention your Winamp. But what do you think, Joseph? Radio, MTV, and internet culture. How did it shape the '90s debut singles?
I think it greatly benefited them. If radio at least playing these, and I don't know if this goes hand in hand with the radio play and I guess the manufacturers of at the time CDs and tapes, because I would hear a single, and luckily I was able to go buy single CDs and single cassette tapes before the full albums were released. So I actually got to go listen to, I'd have, like, I bought a few mainly CD singles back in the day, so I had a few. And with the internet, the early internet coming into play, of course, this greatly impacted everything. Being able to put that out there to mass markets and multiple age groups, like Bob mentioned, MTV in the '90s. I mean, it was just, that was a career launcher for any artist who was trying to make a name for themselves. If they somehow got on any airplay on MTV, whether it was a music video or was TRL mostly the 2000s? Did they?
Yeah,
was
2000s.
There?
Yeah,
that was.
Yeah, the MTV really, Raps coming on though, and you had
120
minutes. Headbangers Ball was in the '90s as well too. So, if you were able to get your music featured on, or your video, for this single, if you shot a video for your single and you were actually able to get it some airplay, I mean, man, it really helped you. So without those, with radio, I mean, I don't know anybody that listens to the radio anymore. I don't. Like, you're either listening, right. Well, you're either listening to satellite radio or your own, mix plugged into your phone, plugged into your car or something like that. I know a lot of there's a lot of single songs that I have on my like Amazon playlist, and they're from artists that don't do anything other than release singles, and that's crazy. Like, I think that's like weird how they don't the need to put out an album is not there anymore. Like, it's kind of going back to these singles, and they'll release like 4 singles over a year and a half period before they ever actually release an album or an EP that they'll just put maybe 6 songs on it. It's just, so the '90s radio and MTV, I mean, they did wonders for these people. It gave album sales, like physical album sales. They were monumental in helping these artists and get an impact on that.
And we all knew in the '90s, when radio was still relevant, radio was the gatekeeper of hits. And like that Real Big Fish song, Sell Out, radio plays what they want you to hear, and they would play it 1 billion times over. I have Sirius XM. That's a dying medium too. I re-up my subscription, and they're like, "Oh, we'll offer you like a $12 a month,
it's
package."
Real cheap now.
I got it for $5. I go, "I'll give you $5."
Yeah, I got it for $5. Yeah,
So,
I got it for $5. We're like, we're not gonna take it. Fuck that. We're gonna cancel it. What about $4.99? Sold.
We'll throw in the app. We'll put your podcast on there too. I mean, they just gave us the whole package because they're just a dying medium. But MTV, guys, both of you, head on. MTV gave us the visual revolution, right? These artists were now giving us an aesthetic, and it taught us how to dress for the music we love. That's why I was always at the Gap and Structure and Buckle, and you guys were always at the Hot Topic dressing like your bands, but that's what MTV did. It gave us
nerd.
It gave us the visual. So absolutely. Next question, guys. Other than your selection, which '90s debut single had the strongest opening statement? One that made you think this artist is here to stay?
I have 2, man, and one obviously was the Foo Fighters. This is a call, like, Dave Grohl coming off the success of Nirvana and everything that you would only assume. I think, like, after hearing the first song, like, you'd only assume that he was going to be meant, and that band was going to be meant for superstardom. Which, I mean, how long has the career been going now? This is what we're on their 20th year, 30th year anniversary. What is it?
Yeah, and now his daughter's joining him on stage.
I know. Jesus Christ, that's how old it's getting crazy. And I think the other one that really, when I heard the band, it was such a different sound for me, but I knew, like, holy shit, these guys are kind of legit, and totally different. Maybe you'll agree or disagree with me, Rand. Rage Against the Machine, Killing in the Name of. Yeah, and hearing that, I was like, what the fuck is this? This is like, before nu metal, they had Rage Against the Machine with its political lyrics and the hip hop rap influence, the crazy guitar play. Like, when I heard that song, I was like, holy fuck, these guys are cool as shit. And then next came, obviously, was Bulls on Parade and everything that came afterwards. So yeah, that those 2 really stuck out to me.
You know, Rage Against the Machine was so big that remember when wrestling had its resurgence in the 90s? Everybody's entrance music sounded like Rage Against the Machine because they were just so popular. That was the sound everybody was striving for. What about you, Joseph? Which 90s debut single had the strongest opening statement in your opinion?
So my introduction to Oasis was what's their album, What's the Story, Morning Glory. Hearing Wonderwall for the first time. I did not know that they had a debut album. Their definitely maybe album, but knowing that I was able to go out and hear that album after the success of Wonderwall and all that, and when I went back and listened to that album, I thought this is a great fucking album. Myself, I did not realize it was their first, but their first single off of that album was a song called Supersonic.
I got it. It's on my own mention. Yeah.
I very much love this song. I think it had I known them when I heard this, had I discovered Oasis when Supersonic was released, I would have probably one gave the obvious comparison, like, oh wow, they're okay. I get the thing, the whole Beatles thing, whatever. Cool. Obviously,
Yeah.
I don't give a shit. Like, they're just copying the Beatles. I don't give a shit. I think the Oasis is a great band on their own. Obviously, people are gonna flock to see them if they actually make this tour happen. But Supersonic, I think that was a great song that introduced people to like this new sound, this British rock sound, or British rock revival sound, so to speak. And once I think like that song is better than some of the more successful songs off of their more successful second album.
Rand, before you answer your pick, I have a prediction.
Uh-huh.
Are you going to talk about Britney Spears?
No, I'm not. But she's definitely in my honorable mentions. She was on everybody's list.
And in your dreams.
Heart, yes, and on my Instagram feed too.
At that time, it was MySpace.
I'm gonna go with Alanis Morissette. You ought to know. I'm cheating here.
Oh, great.
I get it. She was singing mall songs in the 80s. This is not her true debut single, but I'm going to cheat because we all know that this is her real first single. This incarnation of Alanis Morissette. Yeah. I mean, and she's still here. She's Olivia Rodrigo. She's Chappell Roan. She's Maggie Rogers. She's Pale Waves. Give Alanis her flowers, Joseph. I know you like
She's
that
Canadian.
She didn't invent the
song. I like Alanis. What are you talking
Joseph was like, what the fuck?
No, I'm talking about the phrase. Anyway, she didn't invent the Scorn Woman song. But she redefined it. She gave it an engine and an emotional charge that influences so many artists to this day. When you're young, you love high intensity, broken-hearted Alanis. And popular music is defined by young people. This is a young person's medium. But when you're old, you rock Alanis's introspective acoustic style. Alanis has all ages covered. She has the ISDs, the NCAA, the AARP. She has everybody covered. What a brilliant career. And of course, she's Canadian. Why are we pissing off that country? We love you, Canada. Thank you for Alanis. Thank you for Bret the Hitman Hart. Stop pissing them off.
Ryan Reynolds is funny.
All right, guys. We're not talking about one-hit wonders as y'all both mentioned at the start of the podcast, but was there a debut hit by a one-hit wonder that led you to believe they'd have a bigger career and we'd be discussing them more in depth today?
I have a couple that I'll mention. The first one for sure, Harvey Danger, Flagpole Sitta. Mm-hmm. I actually thought, I was like, why weren't these guys more successful? They had a unique look, a unique sound. They were alternative. They were kind of grungy. They were fucking awesome. I don't know how that was their debut single, and then it just became, they just disappeared. It was kind of like a head scratcher how they disappeared, man. The Flies, Got You Where I Want You. Another one. A great song. Even had a celebrity, Katie Holmes was it Katie Holmes in the music video?
Katie Holmes, yeah.
Katie Holmes in the music, great music video, had a celebrity in it, you know what I mean? Was off of a movie soundtrack, and you're thinking, holy shit, these guys are going to be like something special. And it didn't really like come to fruition. So I think those two. I had Space Hog in there as well, but yeah. Those three dudes, man. You're like, how did those bands just not have at least another single that was up to par? It blows my mind.
What about you, Joseph? One hit wonder that you thought that we'd be talking about today as far as their debut single with so many hits that followed up.
Hits that followed up.
Well, one hit wonder. One hit wonder.
Look, I really like this album, and I don't think a lot of people give it credit for. I think Marcy Playground, Sex and Candy, their debut single. I think that band gets. I think the album itself is really really good, but I do think these guys are considered one hit wonders.
Yeah.
If I think you all agree with that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, due to the
because
fact that the rest of their singles didn't really do anything, so
didn't really do
yeah.
anything, and their second album didn't do much
flop.
at all.
Yeah,
Didn't have really any great lead sing. I mean, I like some of the songs off the second album. Wasn't what's that one that everybody talks about? Like that dumb fuck.
There's a lot. You have to be specific.
You're talking about Limp Bizkit.
No. The guy, what's the name of the band? The Courtney Love and Marilyn Manson.
Yeah.
Like, didn't everybody think like they were going to be like the biggest thing?
I knew they sucked.
I didn't.
I didn't particularly like the song, but like, I mean,
the lyrics are kind of.
I don't like the song, but you know,
you only get what you give, Joseph.
It got a lot of airplay. The video was all over MTV, and they just disappeared. You know, I think people expect. I think there's been articles in magazines about how people expected more from that band after that single, and nothing.
I think after he weekly shouts, "We'll kick your ass in," I think they were done, right? I would say, and I know we did a '90s one-hit wonder show, and Bob, I think this was your pick, Lisa Loeb. I mean, she's not my favorite '90s one-hit wonder, but she lined it up with Stay. She lined it up to where she could have had 10 more songs of this ilk, and she should have had a much bigger career going into the 2000s, past the 90s. She was right in the midst of the singer-songwriter movement of the 90s. I mean, the whole Lilith Fair. I mean, she could have ridden that wave. She could have rode that wave. I don't think she was the best one-hit wonder, but I think maybe Mark Morrison was. I'm going to stick with it. But he couldn't keep singing about that subject matter he covered. It would have been ridiculous. But Lisa Loeb should have had 2 or 3 big albums, 7 or 10 huge singles. I mean, Sugar Ray did it, and they didn't have 1 ounce of the talent that she did. I mean, no offense to them, but
they had nicer hair, though. He had nicer hair. We can all agree.
Right now, we're going to our honorable mentions. What do you got for us, Bob?
Obviously, I mentioned Rage Against the Machine, Killing in the Name of. We have to mention Britney Spears' Hit Me Baby One More Time. Such a huge debut single for her and launch her into superstardom. Along with that, I'll add in Notorious B.I.G., Juicy, great single, great way to kick off a career for that rap, that hip-hop sound that was just like, took everybody by storm. Weezer, the Sweater song, Undone. I mean, another great opening debut single. And I have to mention one more, and Randall hates these guys, but Semi-Charmed Kind of Life, baby. I want something else. I think that
they're good. I like them.
Third Eye Blind. You just don't like the lead singer. That's what it is.
Yeah, he's kind of
kind of. But I mean, I had a list of a lot of them, but I think those really stand out to me as some that were some of the best that really thought like, oh man, these guys are gonna have great careers.
What do you got, Joseph? Honorable mentions.
Achy Breaky Heart. Got to give the man his. I mean, come on, like
his flowers.
There you
go. That song was everywhere. You got to give him his due. That was a massive debut single. I also had Undone, the Sweater song, probably one of my favorite Weezer songs of all time, off of that really great album, the Blue Album. A lot of good stuff there. I Left My Wallet in El Segundo by A Tribe Called Quest.
Mm-hmm.
These guys are an iconic group to this day. I believe they're in the Hall of Fame, or at least they've come up a few times for nomination, but maybe they're already in the Hall of Fame. I really like Q-Tip's voice on a lot of, like, he's probably one of my I don't know, it's something chill about his voice that I like.
Yeah, it's got like a bluesy, jazzy.
Can I Kick It?
Can I
Got
Kick
the Jazz? Like, these are all like singles where he's heavily featured, and they're some of my favorite songs. Supersonic by Oasis, like I mentioned earlier, I think that's a great debut single for a great band that most people probably didn't realize was their debut single, like myself. And this one, I almost went with this one. This was almost my selection because I really do love this song, and it was a massive hit. The Rain, Missy Elliott.
Yeah.
This song,
great song. Great song.
Great debut single. Look,
Joseph once wore a trash bag over his body just for a whole week because of this song.
I was just trying to hide from everybody. No. That one single started, and she had massive, big hits for many years after this first album and this first single. So, but yeah, those are my honorable mentions.
Joseph, you mentioned A Tribe Called Quest. Loved them. I love Q-Tip, Phife Dawg. They were like the Jordan and Pippen of hip hop. I always felt like Q-Tip had like a really cool like sinus infection, and he just sounded so good. I don't know, something about his voice, right?
Something, right?
Yeah. And and talking about Marcy Playground too, I thought their second single, St. Joe on the School Bus, which was like a very grunge sounding song.
Yeah, it was way different.
Yeah,
It was way different from the first one.
I thought that was a better single than Sex and Candy. I'm surprised it wasn't a hit. But I mean,
I think that if they had gone in reverse, if that single was first, then Marcy's Playground was the second one. I think you don't think that would be more successful? Like it'd be, I don't know, man, because I think like they gained an audience with Sex and Candy, and then when they released their second single, that didn't sound anything like Sex and Candy.
Yeah,
they kind of lost their audience, or their audience lost interest. So I think if it was flipped, I think they would have been more successful. That's just me. I know it's a weird
interesting
take.
Yeah, no, it's interesting because we all agree it's the better song.
Yeah,
it's not that it's not that I don't like Sex and Candy, both things, but the song and the two items itself. But it's
Valentine's Day was just the other day, Joseph. I know.
Yeah, come on, let me make some Valentine's Day jokes. God, come on, guys.
Valentine's.
But like, yeah, Sex and Candy is a great song. It was a great lead single, but we all agree that St. Joe on a School Bus is a better song.
It was
more rock. Like it probably would have, maybe it would have succeeded better because if they had came at people with a more rock approach than the, what would you call Sex and Candy?
It was more like
ballad?
Very poppy, sort of slowed down.
Yeah,
slowed down. It was like a poppy alternative, like jam, dude. Yeah.
I mean, St. Joe on the School Bus, he sounds a little like Kurt Cobain in some of those some of those lyrics. It sounded like grunge adjacent. So I thought it was a better song. But anyway, my honorable mentions: "Hit Me Baby One More Time," Britney Spears. It topped a lot of lists, and now she's heavily medicated, dancing around in her underwear on Instagram. God bless you, Britney. We hope you're doing okay. I had "You" by Candlebox. I mean, my original choice was "Far Behind," but that wasn't their first single, and I found it out this morning. Guys, Far Behind.
Way to go, Ran.
Far Behind was
days of research we had to rip up because of that. No, I'm just kidding.
You was their first single. Candlebox, the grunge band you could bring home to dad, right? No heroin, just lots of shouting and well-conditioned hair. I had "You Ought to Know," Alanis Morissette. I thought she was just amazing. I've already covered it. Just amazing first single from somebody. You have to mention "Smells Like Teen Spirit," Nirvana. Yes, Nirvana purists. "Love Buzz" was their debut single. Nobody had that album outside of whoever was in the band's drug circle,
and we all love that, the Bleach album and their first single. But and I'm sure people are going to be like, well, how do you know? Like, then you really don't know Nirvana if you don't know that.
Tell them, Joseph. Let's start a fight. Fuck it.
wasn't their debut single.
Valentine's is over, bitches.
I had Supersonic by Oasis as well. Huge Britpop era song. Great intro. I'm so happy they stopped squabbling. The love of money will do that for these brothers, of course. I had "The Rain" by Missy Elliott, "Players Ball" by Outkast, "Plush" by Stone Temple Pilots, "Alive" by Pearl Jam, "My Name Is" by Eminem, "Undone," the Weezer song, "Everything Zen" from Bush, and I had "I'll Stick Around" by the Foo Fighters. I think that was their first single. We'll have to look at that, but I mean, great list, guys. So many memories of these great debut singles from that decade that we all grew up loving. We're going to get to our selections. Bob, what do you got for us?
I got the winners. What I got, bro? I went with Green Day, Longview, off of their 1994 album Dookie, which in itself is probably top 5 albums of the 90s. I mean, just a fantastic album all around, from Longview, Basket Case, When I Come Around, Welcome to Paradise, the entire album you could play front to back, and it's just, it's a fucking amazing, not just a debut album. I mean, like for that, I know they had an album before, but this album itself is just top of the 90s of 90s rock genre. Longview, dude, just the song itself, bringing punk back into the limelight, the opening bass line, the badass guitar riff, the fucked up lyrics about how boring life can be, just brought punk, that sound back into this, grunge controlled era of the 90s rock scene. And it was kind of cool to see because it wasn't this poppy punk sound that we had with Billy Idol in the 80s. We actually had some like teeth to it, and it was kind of cool to see that style of rock music making its resurgence. And it's really cool. I love this specific song. I know Basket Case, everybody's like, oh, Basket Case was a great song. It really was, but Longview is the one that kicked it off for me. It's one of the first CDs that I ever got because of that song, because of that music video. and how it was grunge and it was punk and it was dark and it was different and it was kind of fucked up, and you're like, holy shit, what is this? You know what I mean? Kind of like Sex Pistols reinvented, right, or reimagined. I love the fact that it gave the 90s rock audiences like another genre of rock to kind of gravitate to as well. As we mentioned, grunge was kind of like the in thing at this point in time, and to have this punk sound come up, like kind of take the MTV world by storm, and that sound take the rock genre by storm, really kind of opened the doors for different genres to really push through during this grunge kind of like dominated era. We got alternative rock coming in, ska music coming in, whatever the fuck the Mighty Mighty Boss Tones were. We had a lot of different sounds coming in, and I think Green Day kind of like, I don't want to say that they were like the trendsetters, but they were like, oh yeah, y'all are grunge, cool. We're grunge-ish, but we're punk, and we're like a new style of punk, and it kind of fit the mold, and it was kind of different, but it still fit that grunge era. So like, it was a really, really cool sound, man. And the music video, especially MTV, I'm sure Green Day is very thankful for MTV because they really pushed this song and their style out in the air, and like it gave a new style for kids to kind of really get into that style. So yeah, this is my pick, man. Big popular song shot Green Day into superstardom, and I think it's the best one, man. What do y'all think?
I think this is a great selection, dude. To be honest with you, I actually thought Basket Case was their first debut single. It was actually their second, so I thank you for. Yeah, because I remember when you when you told us it's Longview, no, it's Longview, and I had to go. I was like, it really was. So, kudos on you to finding that, and also like it is. Yes, Longview is a great song. It's a great lead single for this band and this album. This album is fantastic. Like Bob says, fantastic. You can listen to this front to back, and I've done that many times before. I used to have it on tape, so I would flip sides both times.
We're talking about the tape,
sexual, right?
Yeah,
what the hell am I going?
You never go front to back. You flip the sides over.
Where am I going here? I'm actually. It's crazy how it all came out. Keep going.
That's what I told her.
Stop making innuendos and just
go ahead, Joe. And then you say, keep going.
So like, I know, like, if you're a music purist or historian of this band, if they're like your thing, I know people are going to say wasn't their debut, their debut album. That's true, but this is their first major label debut. So let's calm down on that. They did have two studio, like you can go into a studio independently and release like some independent record label. That's cool. Nobody's faulting any Green Day on that. But
nobody's listening to that shit either.
Yeah, well, yeah, like I didn't know. I'm just kidding. I have heard some of the. Heard some of those songs from the albums prior to this.
At the Library, great song.
So, but let's keep it. Let's like give credit where credit's due. This is the first major label debut, so there's nothing wrong with Bob's selection on this. Honestly, I think this was the right thing for them to do. Go with this, like, because we all love When I Come Around, but that's more of their.
It's like a slowdown. It's like Marcy's Playground,
yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So, but a great song. But if they were coming to make a statement with this album, this album went. I think I'm reading that it went 20 times platinum. So that's,
yeah.
I mean, fucking.
Oh, insane. It was huge. It was a big album at the time.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
So
I would say like
introduce themselves for this. I'm sorry. Do you want to go?
Yeah, I want to add just real quick to what you're saying. Like, yeah, why they didn't use When I Come Around compared to this. Like, what was the most popular song around this time? I mean, it's probably like what Smells Like Teen Spirit, and what song sounds closer to Smell Like Teen Spirit's Longview or When I Come Around? I think it like wanted to fit in without fitting in, that type of shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. As much as I like I said, like as much as this was the right choice. This one or Basket Case, it would have been fine. It would have, but Longview is a great song. I love the concept of it. I didn't think they were pop punk when this album came out.
No, definitely later on. Yeah, I mean, when you have kids and you have IRS out there, you throw
it. You want to make some money.
But this was a good, like a nice little throwback, maybe to what their roots were, what the 80s punk scene, thing like that. So, yes. But with a modern spin or with that grunge spin, like Bob mentioned, and it was the perfect song. It was off of a great album, released rough, in the mid 90s to introduce themselves to a larger audience. And like Bob mentioned, MTV played each video. Here's the thing: their third single was "Welcome to Paradise," which I never saw a video for, but at least I don't think I did. But the each single from this album had heavy radio play and video play on MTV. So this was a big song and a big great debut for to bring to the masses, I guess, to a larger audience, and it was perfect to introduce to people that maybe didn't know their prior stuff, like me. And I admit that, it was a great song, great selection. Bob, I mean, I'm sorry, Rand, go ahead.
Joe?
The first time I heard this song and watched this video, it was a 120 minutes darling. So this song would come out like late night Saturdays, late night during the weekdays. When it started to get more and more popular, they brought it into the mainstream and started putting it on charts, started playing it, in the afternoon and at prime time. And but I remember this song being 120 on the show, 120 minutes with Matt Pinfield. By the way, prayers to Matt Pinfield. I know he's going through something right now, so he's taught us so much. Yes, I think day one Green Day fans, time Metallica fans for the most annoying. We were with them from the start. We were with them before they went mainstream fan base. I mean, how can you blame people who want to move out of shared apartments and want to buy mansions and sleep with models for evolving in music, right? And trying to make some money. Look, if someone contacted this podcast and they offered us a lot of money and told us, we want you guys to only compliment things and promote the things we want you to promote, I would not hesitate. They would say, tell the fans you love the subpar Captain America Brave New World, which I just watched this weekend and it wasn't very good. I would praise the Red Hulk the way I do my kids on social media. Harrison Ford has not lost a step. His best work since The Fugitive. Just give me the money. Green Day had it right all along. I don't blame Green Day at all going and transforming into pop punk. But this song, still very punk at its roots, but it carved a path for them to create songs so they wouldn't have to live on gas station corn dogs and Arizona sweet tea. By the way, after first listening to the song, how long did it take you guys to realize Green Day wasn't British, right? Bite my lips and close my eyes.
Yeah, fuck
I thought they were British. I mean, weren't they cooler when we thought they were British? Like, what a bunch of talented chimney sweeping orphans. I mean, they sounded great, right? Oh, and
what a way to describe them, Jesus.
But they're only Americans with drug problems, so not as exciting. But this song was released February 1st, 1994. First song off of one of the greatest no-skip albums of the decade, Dookie. This song received 4 Grammy nominations and ranked number 3 on the list of best singles of 1994 by Rolling Stone magazine. 31 years, man, and Billy Joe Armstrong still looks exactly the same. I don't know how he does it. This is another of the great many slacker anthems about boredom and frustration that topped the charts. Bassist Mike Dirnt stated that he wrote the great opening bass line while he was high on LSD. He said it was better and more complex than the final product that's on the song, but that's all he could remember when he woke up from his, stupor. What a monster bass riff, right? Great drumming by Trey Cool as well. It's titled Longview because the first time the band played it was in the city of Longview, Washington in 1992. Great title for a song because it just captures everything. This is a song. Listen, if you don't know any of the lyrics, you definitely know it mentions masturbation, right? That's kind of was a calling card for the song, which of course, if you were a teen in 1994, you immediately related. Yeah, he's singing about me. It's like they know my life. Yeah, I'm lazy too. What's crazy is that I believe Basket Case was slated to be their first single. And I don't know if you guys heard the original version of Basket Case, because I think it was on their previous album. Totally different than the Basket Case on Dookie. Basket Case compared to Longview seems so much polished. Like this was the song they made
rougher on the edges.
Yeah, rough.
Right?
Yeah, it was rough. It was not as polished as Basket Case. It was not as smooth. So I think this was the absolute definite choice to go with as their debut single. The absolute right move was to release Longview first because it's so rough and so gnarly and it sounds younger. I mean, for punk rock.
Yeah,
it sounds
sorry,
punk.
You say it perfect.
No, yeah, punk rock. And for punk rock, all you need is 4 chords and the truth, and that's what Green Day brought you in this song. This is a top 5 for me, so great choice, Bob. Green Day has been a big rock band now for over 30 years. At one point, they were the biggest rock band in the world, and this is still, after all their hits through all these decades, this is still one of their 5 best songs. So yes, absolutely one of the best debut singles of the 90s.
Thank you. Winner, chicken dinner. That's all, folks. Thank y'all for showing up. That's our show. Okay. Now, Joseph, what do you got for us, buddy?
For my selection, I chose Who Am I? What's My Name by Snoop Doggy Dogg, the debut single off of his first album, Doggy Style, or as we call it as grown adults now, The Way of the Hound. Uh, some
The right way.
some commercial performance notes for this. It was his first top 10 hit on US Billboard Hot 100. It reached number 8 and it topped the Billboard Hot Rap Songs for 3 weeks. Certified gold single in 1994. So this is one of the most iconic classic hip hop tracks of our generation, us three. Great laid back flow with great, funk samples, the G funk sound. Snoop was already a known figure in the music industry and the rap scene, thanks to his appearances on Dre's Deep Cover single, and of course all over Dre's debut solo studio album, The Chronic. I mean, you go look at the credits for that album, and like Snoop's on basically every song, which is obviously the Chronic, another great iconic rap album in the 90s. With this song and the full album of other great singles, this solidified Snoop's presence in the rap game, the rap scene, making him, like a cornerstone of the 90s hip hop culture and sound. I'll admit there are better songs off of this album, like his second single, Gin and Juice, and Doggy Dog World. Honestly, Gin and Juice probably is the better song. And if it was chosen to be his debut single, then I'd be talking about Gin and Juice. I really do think Gin and Juice is a great song, and I don't know if you all will agree with me. You all can let me know later if it's a better song than What's My Name. But for him, it was the perfect choice though for Snoop in this case. It helped him introduce himself to everybody, show off his his lifestyle, and he's this laid back, casual, chill guy who loves to party aside from being a gangster. Aside from being the gangster rapper, Snoop Dogg has been this massive star and household name for multiple decades, and still releasing music to this day. He's an actor, he's a pitchman, he does play-by-play now and then for certain sports network, for ESPN and things like that. He even fucking covered the Olympics this past year. So this man is a global star, and it's all started with this one song, this song that proved to everybody he was not only just a great artist but a great lyricist, and more than Dr. Dre's protege and sidekick. Great.
Dr. J's cool too.
Great Dr. Dre is cool. Dr. J. Great music video, to be honest with you. A little CGI, but at the time it was like that was something cool. Like we didn't really see any of that, in the 90s. Great song. I love that, he was I can't remember the record store, and I don't think it exists anymore, the one that he was rapping on the top of. Personally, one of my favorite songs. I used to, when I was younger, and I had massive speakers in the back of my truck. I would love to drive down the street with this one, kick off that the whole like it was a great intro. And I think like I said, this was the perfect choice for him to introduce himself to everybody as a solo artist. And it's my selection. Guys, what do you think?
Great selection. Got to kick off with that. I love this song. This video is iconic as well, but I do have to point out the acting in this video at the very beginning. Not the best acting in a video, right? Not the best. You don't love me. You just love my doggy style. It was horrible, right? Terrible. But the video makes up for it. The morphing into the Doberman or whatever. Really cool, right? I love how Snoop Dogg in the 90s was one of the most menacing artists of the decade. And now he's the fun uncle at the party, right? Whomever is Snoop Dogg's publicist, they deserve every penny. He was at the Olympics having fun with people. 30 years ago, he was accused of murder. Who else can be celebrated at the Olympics and have been accused for murder? Only Snoop Dogg. Oscar Pistorius also. But anyway, Snoop Dogg was just like the fun.
Got no legs, Ren.
Many of us first saw Snoop Dogg's debut as he was featured in the Dr. Dre song Deep Cover. You mentioned that, Joseph, for the movie of the same title. Great movie, by the way, starring Lawrence Fishburne. Very underrated 90s movie. Check it out. We really got familiar with Snoop Dogg in The Chronic as he was featured on such hits as Nothing But a G Thing, Dre Day, and Let Me Ride. The stage was set for Snoop to break out. I mean, he dominated those songs. He earned his stripes, and he was just amazing every time he was featured in one of these Dr. Dre songs. A way better rapper than Dr. Dre, too. But Dr. Dre, of course, just an excellent producer. Yeah. It was his time. What a great debut album, Doggy Style. Loved asking for it at the Sam Goody. So what's my name? what's my name? Great morphin effects in the video, which was released November 11th, 1993, and 22-year-old Calvin Brodus never looked back. The sample is everything in the rap industry, and sampling George Clinton's Atomic Dog, buddy, you're halfway there. This opened the door to laid back rap and the 70s music revival. The song is cool cars, it's barbecues, it's Sundays hanging out with your friends. I remember watching the Arsenio Hall show when Snoop Dogg performed this song, and it was just a really special moment. And yes, Arsenio had that same look he has when performers are doing their thing and he's looking at them as if he's discovering them. You know, very pretentious was Arsenio, but you knew Snoop Dogg was going to be around for a long time. And the true strength of Snoop Dogg is knowing he didn't have to be the main character. After a while, he transitioned to cameos. He's just a great career move where he was like the second fiddle in a lot of these songs in his later career. Now he's cultivated this fun, wholesome, friendly, family-friendly image. But Snoop Dogg back in the 90s led the charge for rap and a multitude of artists to be embraced, discovered, and be brought into the mainstream. Remember, rap wasn't mainstream until acts like Snoop Dogg brought it into the fold. There were many great artists before Snoop and Dre, but they broke through. They didn't. But Snoop and Dre broke through, and these other artists really didn't. I think the biggest rap act before them was Run DMC. But Snoop brought an attitude. He brought a style. It was a culture. So yes, another good selection. The only knock is that we are so familiar with Snoop through his work partnering with Dre that it was inevitable he was going to release his own album and be successful. So the element of surprise and buildup wasn't there because we were already familiar with Snoop Dogg. But I mean, honestly, what a great debut. What a great selection. Bob, what do you think?
I think it's fantastic. It's a great choice, and it's a great song. And I think I do like it better than Gin and Juice, Joseph, because I think what Gin and Juice really has, it's more of like maybe like more of strictly, rap, gangster rap style of music. And I think that when you get What's My Name, you get that George Clinton funk. It's got a funk to it. It's hip hop. It's rap. It's got a lot of different flavors that attract a lot of different people to that style of music. And I think that's why it was so popular and why he was skyrocketed into superstardom because of this song, because he wasn't just a West Coast or an East Coast rapper. He was making music with, like Rand mentioned, he used he sampled George Clinton's song for this particular song, and it had this like difference to it, man. It was hip hop and it was cool. You didn't want to just rap to it. You wanted to cruise to it. You wanted to dance to it. You wanted to be with your chick to it. Like it just fit that a whole lot of different molds, man. And I think that's why it was so popular. And he's such a likable individual who stands out and like looks the part. And like I think the music video was killer and it was funny. Even the bad acting, like it made, I think everybody was trying to do something stupid like that to start videos or to end videos or in the middle videos at that point in time in the 90s, just like in the 80s. So it's cool, man. I really do like this song. One of my favorite Snoop Dogg songs. It's probably my favorite Snoop Dogg song. And I think that you hit the nail on top of the head, Joseph, because a lot of people, they think of 90s and all of a sudden they gravitate to grunge rock and Nirvana and that style of music. And then you go into Snoop Dogg and this genre. It's fucking perfect because this was highly influential throughout that decade. And Snoop Dogg was a big reason for that.
Joseph, is this song the reason why you are always saying, I don't love them hoes? But great selection. So let's make it 3 for 3. Help me out, guys. All right. So the last selection.
Wrong.
By the way, before we move forward, nobody's mentioned No Doubt. I'm Just a Girl. That was another great.
That was a fucking amazing. Was it I'm Just a Girl or was it Spiderwebs?
No, I think it was Spiderwebs.
No, Spiderwebs wasn't their debut. I'm Just a Girl was.
I'm Just a Girl was the debut.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Well, only because Spider-Verse is better, goddamn.
No, you know who picked that one? You know who picked that one? Creative Little Pill picked, but I think she thought that Spiderwebs was, and so we were all. Yeah,
D mentioned that she was like, dude, No Doubt. Nobody's gonna talk about No Doubt. Nobody. He just didn't leave it on, put on our mentions. But fucking crazy talented band, No Doubt, and Gwen Stefani. Yeah.
But either way, whether it's Spiderwebs or I'm Just a Girl, they're both great songs.
It's I'm Just a Girl, and let me tell you why. Because I made the stupid prediction when that song came out. I was watching the video with my friend. I'm Just a Girl came out, and I said, this band is going absolutely fucking nowhere. So I know that was their debut 100%.
Eat your words.
Boy, was I wrong. But I'm gonna be. let me change my fortunes with this selection. So, for the best '90s debut single, I selected "Creep" by Radiohead, released on September 21st, my wedding anniversary, 1992. And I'm here to tell you why.
Does she call you a creep too?
Sometimes. I'm here to tell you why this song is so fucking special. Obsessive, unrequited love is a topic so many great songs laid their foundation on. This song is the ultimate grunge adjacent, emo adjacent, lovelorn song of the 90s. It bridged so many specific genres into this one blend of heartache, crunchy guitar, amazing lyrical sentiment. The big negative issue is that this song took elements from The Air That I Breathe from the Hollies. And if you listen to that song, you hear it immediately. So the co-writers of this song, of The Air That I Breathe, Albert Hammond and Mike Hazelwood have writing credits to this song too, but both great songs. I don't see that as a big strike against the song. It only makes it even more depressing that it wasn't such an original idea. Anyway, Radiohead did not want to release this song as a single and only recorded it on the behest of the record producers. It became this huge slacker anthem, and Radiohead didn't want this song to be their identity song, their calling card song, right? If you want a weird visual, YouTube Radiohead performing this song at the MTV Beach House in the mid-90s. Whose idea was to let these alien vampires near young people at a beach? I thought Tom York was going to melt or at least bite off a few heads. I don't know. What a weird fucking contrast. Thanks for saving us a decade later thong song. Anyway, okay, speaking of Tom York, name me a more perfect looking person to sing this song. Does he look weird? Check. Is he pale? Check. Is he skinny? Check. He was a parent.
Ryan Adams. Ryan Adams.
He was a parent's basement bedroom away from checking all the boxes as the most appropriate lead singer for this song. He's like the male Tilda Swinton. I mean, he just really rocked that look. This is the most fun you can have at a karaoke while singing a depressing song. Not an easy feat to accomplish. I love the combination of the soft chorus and the loud, crunchy guitar. It makes you believe the guitar is the woman snapping at him to leave her alone, and Tom York is trying to figure things out. If we ever do best songs to cry silently to, guys, it's this song and Take Me Home Country Road by John Denver in my finals. I'm saying it right now. The worst feeling is loving someone you cannot have. It's just, it's heartbreaking, right? I'll be sure to ask someone how that must feel, but I'm sure it's terrible. That deep emotional gut punch, it haunts you. It stays with you, just like this song. The thing is, Radiohead went on to have a very successful career. They were innovative and acclaimed with their rock styles, and this is their biggest hit single, and by definition, it makes it the best single, because even though they had all these great songs that followed this particular song, great albums, very just a thinker's rock band, this song still stands the test of time. It's still their calling card. Beavis and Butthead shouted them out. They loved it. The song still stands the test of time, and it was the perfect embodiment of the time and that feeling of thinking you're not good enough for someone. And we've all had that similar feeling, and what an incredible song to
Speak for yourself.
What an incredibly poetic song to sort of define it. What do you guys think of this song?
Such a different song considering the time that it came out. Would you say it came out in 1993, Randy? I mean,
yeah.
Considering all the music that was going on, then you have Tom York come out with Creep, such like this haunting, alternative, slow down, over obsessed type of song. It was definitely different. It's definitely out of left field. Him being English, I'm sure, helped out a lot. I know you talked a little bit about the background. I know Tom York, he followed a girl around for 3 or 4 days, was kind of stalking her, and that's what this song was about, because he felt like such a creep because he was so like infatuated by this girl. So yeah, now you're losing points, Rand, because he was a stalker. I think it's one of those songs, it's definitely a band defining song that you think of Radiohead. This is, besides Paranoid Android, which I think is what it's my favorite song from them. This is the song that pops into everybody's mind when they first hear Radiohead. Oh, do you like Radiohead? If you're listening to Radiohead, it's Creep. You know what I mean? The songs obviously become crazy successful and popular because of the lyrics and because this self-loathing, but look at me and I wish I was better. I wish I was amazing. This is a very American Idol cover song, for the show. It's got that kind of feel to it. It has been covered at nauseum. It's a great pick. I don't know if it is It's not the sound that I think of when I think of 90s rock or 90s. I mean, we talked about it earlier, there's so many different flavors of rock and music of the 90s. It just, Radiohead Creep is not the song I think of when I think of 90s music. If he released that song in 2003, I think it would have been greatly successful. If he released it in 2010, it still would have been amazingly successful because it doesn't really fit like a decade sound, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? It doesn't really sound 90s, doesn't really sound 2000s. It could kind of fit in anywhere at that point. Probably it could fit in the late 80s as well. It's a great pick, dude. I don't have a lot of bad things to say about it. I love the band. It's just a different kind of feel, man. It's a different kind of mood. It's a different kind of sound. It's like it's definitely mood music. So you got to really be into that kind of thing if you really would like to get into this kind of music, man. Joseph, I know Joseph's not a big fan. Joseph, hammer away.
He's smiling.
Randy's looking at me loading up for the
son of a bitch. Go ahead.
Look. It's been stated. I think it's well known. I'm not a fan of this song. I actually hate it. I hate it very much. Let's just put that aside. I will talk about this song as knowing Radiohead is not my cup of tea. I do like some songs from them. I don't know the names of those songs. I would have to hear them to be like, oh yeah, this song.
Trees.
It would be, yeah, I'd have to be like, oh yeah, this song. I like this song.
Karma Police.
Paranoid Android is the best one.
Well, Paranoid Android, yeah, that's the only one I know by name. Look, I understand. It's like Bob said, when this is a song, this is their quintessential song, right? Whether they like it or not, whether it's brings them. Has he gotten over it? No, at this point,
he has. They didn't play it for a while, or they didn't want to play it, and then audiences were going crazy, so they brought it back. Something.
Yeah, I was reading that people just wanted to hear it, and then they would leave after this one song at a show, which that sucks. Like, don't get me wrong, I hate the song, but that fucking sucks for people to come walk out because they only want to hear one song. So when you mention Radiohead, if somebody asks, like, like anybody says anything about Radiohead, their minds, like Bob said, automatically go to this song because it is their
Fonzie, Pete.
It's their Holy Grail, or like I don't know, signature song. Every example or expression that you can say for somebody's like greatest work, I guess, or in the eyes of their fans and listeners. I understand its legacy. I understand its effect on musicians that I even like today. There's bands that I like that have covered this song live. The Deftones have done it. Korn have done it. Weezer's done it. A lot of people. Prince did it one time. That whole thing. Remember when he performed this live?
Prince has done a lot of things. A lot of things.
Prince recorded this song live, and he replayed it live, and recordings went on the internet, and his record label went after those people, and Tom York told him to fuck off. Hey, that's our song. You can't tell people to block it. So I thought that, that's cool. Its legacy and its history are extremely overwhelming, and they won't ever be able to escape that. But they have had such a great career themselves that I think it's good to see that maybe that Tom York has gotten over it, and let it go and just accepted that this is what it is. As I'm not a fan of this song or anything off of this album, I've checked out some of the other songs to see if maybe I had an argument to say like, well, this was a better song. This could have been a better single. I didn't really feel that way about this entire album. It's like I said, it's like Radiohead is just not my thing. I don't know if any other songs off of that album would have catapulted them to have the career that they have, to have other musicians admire, news publications and MTV and journalists write about the creativity and the beautiful songwriting. A lot of the junk that Randy said earlier in his thing. Like I don't think they would have had. I think their entire success is based off of this one song. Let me just say, Rand, do you really like any other? Like, I'm sure you do.
Yeah.
What's another song off of their debut album that you're like, this is a great fucking?
So you're talking about Pablo?
Is there another song off of that album? Like how I said, you know what? Basket Case was also a great song off of Green Day's album that could have been
Gin and Juice.
Or Gin and Juice.
I think the first 5 songs come at you really well. You's great. Creep. How do you stop whispering? Thinking about you. Those are 5 great songs that start off Pablo Honey.
I did notice that some of those were a little more rock.
They were rock,
and heavier, and which I mean, just in general, I thought would have been better, but they didn't really do it for me either. So look, I give it its due and its credit. It's it's what is it? It's included on Rolling Stone's 500 greatest songs of all time. I don't know what number it was, but I mean, they have had a very successful career, and it's probably all part of this, and because of this one single and this one song. They're still making music to this day. They're still as revered and celebrated to this day as they were back then. So it is what it is. I mean, yes, this was a massive debut single for them, and it catapulted their careers probably to heights that they were at times comfortable with and not comfortable with. And it's all thanks to this one song. So you can't take anything away from it. It was what it was supposed to be, a big time debut single to get this, their music out to the world and make them stars.
I think this song, along with the songs you guys selected, gave these artists legitimacy to, run with the ball and make sure that they can play whatever they wanted, because they've already set the legitimacy of their albums. They set the legitimacy of their careers. So I think what these 3 songs have in common is that they catapulted all 3 of these artists to do what they wanted to do in the future, and that's why they have staying power and a legacy. Guys, what are your final thoughts on 90s debut singles?
I forgot to mention "Loser" by
Beck.
Beck, man, and I had it in my notes, and I flipped through it right now. I was like, shit, I forgot to mention that. Such a great fucking artist, such a great and somebody who that song really catapulted him into a different category of music. Anyways, there's a lot of great bands that debuted in the 90s, man. They had great debut singles and great debut albums, and that really stuck around for a long period of time. So I think this was a great topic for us to talk about. I look forward to when we talk about 80s debut or 2000s debut or even 70s. I love that rock and roll genre. I think it's a cool topic, dude. I love revisiting the 90s. I think it's a great generation of rock music and music in general, and talking about these bands and how certain songs or certain lyrics or certain albums kind of skyrocketed them into superstardom still to this day. So yeah, it was a great topic, man. I love this.
The ratio between bands and artists that became stars from their debuts in the 90s as opposed to the ones that were just one-hit wonders is insane. I think we've said before, just the 90s in general for music, there was a lot of music to consume, and a lot of artists putting out things in the 90s, a lot of hits from multiple genres, multiple styles, multiple, everything. And all thanks to, as we mentioned earlier, radio play and MTV getting their starts. So I did think it was a little difficult to sift through what was a legitimate artist or music or band or whatnot that still did, has still had a successful career, and those that, disappeared after that one debut single. It's crazy.
I think if streaming and social media were around in the 90s, I think the landscape could have been different for a lot of artists like Fiona Apple, Marcy Playground, Space Hog, Republica, and other songs with these anthemic hooks, because they would have been TikTok videos, they would have been on memes, they would have been on reels, etc. Having a great debut song in the 90s was crucial because it could make or break an artist's career in an era where first impressions were everything. Unlike today, where artists can build momentum over time through streaming and social media, 90s musicians often had that one shot to grab attention through radio, MTV, and physical album sales. A great debut single in the 90s wasn't just about chart success, it was about securing a future in music. With limited ways to promote a song, an artist needed that one breakthrough moment to prove themselves, or they risked being forgotten. There was no algorithms, no FYPs. It was, can we achieve critical mass success with enough people to keep the wheels in motion? So great topic, guys. Before we go, maybe 2 minutes on these last 2 topics. The end of Cobra Kai. And we won't spoil anything.
Hated it.
I just want to give my 2 cents, and you guys could chime in. It needed to end. I mean, Miguel was going to college, and he already looked like a seasoned mortgage broker, right? Wasn't a fan of a lot of the child actors. I thought Daniel LaRusso's daughter was just not very good either. The last 2 seasons were just like a revolving door. I'm glad it's over. Kudos to Ralph Macchio for capitulating and giving us that important piece of nostalgia. He didn't want to be known as the Karate Kid forever, right? Never did. The Comic-Cons, sort of ignored the popularity of it for decades. Part 3 of The Karate Kid was so bad when he wore those blue jean shorts and he had an ass like Rick Mahorn, he just wanted to forget about it. This was a serious actor, right? He did Broadway with De Niro, but he could never shake off Daniel LaRusso. But he finally embraced it. He gave us fans something back, and he and his expensive hair piece will continue the legacy with Jackie Chan. But I'm glad it's over. Joseph Bob, your quick thoughts on it.
I'm glad. I'm just gonna say this. I stopped watching after season 3. I'm glad it's over. Like, there's only so much of that story you can continue to tell. Like, you get it. Like, the kids either change or they don't fucking change. You can't have them keep hopping back and forth between good guys and bad guys. We're together, not together. We want to be better, but we're not better. That kind of bullshit. So I think they're just milking the Netflix for all it's worth at that point in time. So I'm glad it's over. It's a great concept. Great. The first season was absolutely cool as shit and had all that great nostalgia. But I'm kind of glad. I think it ran its course a long time ago.
Agreed. It was about time. Yes, I did finish it. Finished it late to the day that it was finally released. Look, I'm happy that it's over because, like we all said, it needed to end sooner than it did. They were stretching it out as much as they can. I'm glad that the way that it ended. I'm glad the way that they ended it because I thought that was a long time coming, and it should have been that to begin with. It was, but yeah, these last at least this last season and why it needed to be split up into 3 parts. I think it was 3.
Yes, money, parts. Joseph, money.
Like, but they were like, so maybe it was scheduling conflicts. Yes, because yes, like, okay, look,
Ralph Macchio had to do more car commercials.
This isn't a spoil, but like any show that's ending, they hearken to clips of the beginning, and they show clips of Miguel, and he looks like a fucking kid. And he's supposed to believe we're supposed to believe he's in high school still when the way he looks. I think the girl, I can't remember her name in the show, the blonde one. The bad girl.
Oh yeah. I know
think. I think
Tori.
I think like she barely she just looks like she doesn't want to be there anymore. Like she's stretched thin because I've seen a lot of commercials for some show that she has now on all the streaming things. So I'm thinking like, okay, well, like she was probably being pulled in like different, she was doing her show, like she has her own show now and being called back to film scenes when she could for COVID. So it was just a lot of like, she wasn't really there the whole time. She barely spoke in scenes that she was in. So like it was finally time for it to end. But like I said, I'm glad it ended the way it should have ended.
I think if they ever do a Madonna biopic, I think the actress that played Tori would be
for sure, dude, for sure. That'd be cool. It'd definitely be rated R though.
and last subject, guys. I know the Super Bowl is long past, but talking heads need to give Patrick Mahomes a break. All week, all I heard was people saying, you cannot talk about him in the GOAT conversation anymore. Look, this guy is a guy who spent his entire 20s either playing in the Super Bowl or being the best quarterback in college football.
You want to know why, right? You want to know why he was trying to get away from his wife. Right? He tried to stay in the season as long as he could. I'm just totally kidding, guys.
Not an Eagles fan, but lighten up, cynics. He will probably play for another 12 years. Give him a break. Quick thoughts on his legacy, guys.
You know what? I found an interesting percentage. I'm a Houston Texans fan, and they released a percentage. They're like, how could Patrick Mahomes do anything? He was rushed on 38% of the passing plays during the Super Bowl. And then they showed a stat. CJ Stroud had an average of 39% rush rate the entire season. So fuck you. And he made it too deep into the playoffs. Get your shit together, Patrick Mahomes. Don't be such a little bitch. All right. I'm just going to say that. All right. That's what we've been dealing with the entire season. There's nothing that's going to mess with his legacy. He'll probably, he's losing Kelsey. And once Taylor Swift's out of the picture, the referees will stop helping them out. And they probably won't go that deep in the playoffs anymore. So yeah, he'll be a good quarterback, but it'll be more like Jim Kelly, good quarterback. Go ahead, Joseph.
I don't understand I love you, Jim. The whole I don't understand how people were calling him the GOAT or like he's the next GOAT. Like there's one GOAT in the NFL and that's Tom Brady. Unless you get as many rings as Tom Brady, then you're not the GOAT. I don't think Patrick Mahomes will get to that point, but motherfucker's got 3 rings. That's fucking damn good. So don't
He's not
say
even 30. Yeah.
Yeah, you're not going to take anything away from his legacy. He's a future Hall of Fame quarterback. He is, whether people want to accept that or not. But I as a big a fan as I am of his since college football, because I his team was my team. Even I know he's not the GOAT. I just know he's a damn good quarterback.
He's a great quarterback.
I mean, he's a great quarterback, and he's a good teammate, and he's still gonna. I still think they're gonna compete. They'll reload. As long as they got Andy Reid, and I don't know how much longer they're gonna have Andy Reid.
Yeah, that's the thing, dude. As long as they have Andy Reid, once Andy Reid's gone, it's gonna be a big loss for them.
But I honestly think who's their defense coordinator?
Spagnuolo
is waiting in the wings, to be honest with you. I think that's why he hasn't accepted anything.
I mean, he's only really gotten one other job, and it was with the Giants, and he didn't do. I mean, he did okay.
But I think the Chiefs organization loves him, and I think they will offer him that job when Andy Reid decides to call it a career. But Andy Reid's a smart man. He knows talent. I think he'll reload. I think whether that's with Kelsey or not. And to be honest with you, I don't think he should come back. I think he's good. I think Kelsey's solidified his career. I think he's at that point. I didn't realize how old he was.
Yeah, he's older. He's worth millions and millions of dollars. His wife's a billionaire. Like, go live on a yacht somewhere in a boat, have a bunch of kids, and be happy, dude. Like, that guy can go off, just like his brother, go off and just be happy, disappear, be in the spotlight, whatever he wants to do, or him and his wife, Taylor Swift, or like, they can go do whatever they want to do, and they could be, right up in the sunset together. You know what I mean?
And like his brother, he's one of those guys that, like, if his heart is not fully into it, he does not want to be a subpar player. And I think he's getting to that point. Like, I think
he's there. I think he goes one more season and he's done. But let's not forget Tom Brady. A few bonehead play calls and meltdowns away from being 4-6.
He'd have another one.
4-6 in the Super Bowl, right? I mean,
but if my aunt had nuts, she'd be my uncle. Okay, we can't go ifs and buts and candy and nuts and all that shit. So, how many fucking rings does he have? How many rings does he have?
We started with huevos. We're ending with balls. So let's just stop right there.
I said nuts. By the way, I said nuts. Nosotros.
That's our show, everyone. Listeners, we'd love to hear from you. Hit us up and let us know who you think had the best 90s debut song. Most importantly, let us know what you think about the show. You may reach us at formidableopponents@gmail.com and follow us on all forms of social media by searching for Formidable Opponents. We want to thank Creative Little Pill for her great artwork. Please follow her on Instagram at Creative Little Pill. Please subscribe, rate, and review us on any podcast platform you're listening to us on. And join us next episode. We'll be back with Best Zombie Movie. So for Bob and Joseph, we'll see you next time.
Bye, everybody.
Get the check.